What is going on, everyone? It's your guy Cole Jackson back here on Road Graders, coming to you today, a week before it is officially draft week for the 2025 NFL draft. And we are going to be diving into our first set of previews. We're looking at 5 interior pass rushers the Baltimore Ravens can target in the 2025 NFL draft. I need some feedback from you guys. If you guys like this breakdown, if you like this approach to doing these previews, hit that like button, hit subscribe for me. Drop a comment down below with your thoughts on these players. I'm starting with the interior defensive line specifically because, as you can see on the depth chart, there are a few guys that I didn't put on here. Guys like CJ Ravenel, Basil Okoye, Adeo Odolai, guys that are going to be in camp that were signed to futures deals. I just don't really see a path to them making the team. But as you can see here, we only have 3 interior defensive linemen on the roster with Travis Jones, Nnamdi Madubuike, and Broderick Washington. So there's not just a need for a 3 tech, but also for a 1 tech. So this is very much going to be a position where they double dip. And that's where I tried to focus on these 5 guys. And just for the record, I'm really focusing on guys with that pass rush upside from the interior. So they're going to need to get a guy that can play that Michael Pierce role, who can push the pocket, but also play good against the run. And what I'm focusing on tonight is mostly the pass rushers. So obviously there'll be some guys in here that we take a look at that may not be as good against the run. I'm only focusing on pass rushers. These also aren't meant to be comprehensive film breakdowns. We'll do that after the players are drafted. These are to give you guys a sense at the All-22 film of who is out there in different rounds. So we're going to look at guys from pick 27 all the way to the mid and late rounds at those 5 guys that I think fit what the Baltimore Ravens need. So let's start off with one of the top dogs in this class. One of the guys that, is very much going to be in play if he's available at 27, and that's Derek Harmon out of Oregon, one of the transfers they got. He only ran the 40 at his combine, so he didn't qualify for a relative athletic score. But as you can see, he comes in with that ideal size that I think the Baltimore Ravens have been looking for. Obviously, with Nnamdi Madubuike, you have a guy that's in that newer mold of being a smaller interior rusher. But, with Harmon, you get a little bit more size. He's 6'4", 313. A guy that can kind of, you'll see in the clips, he plays from the 5 tech down to the 1 tech, really has that versatility that I think the Ravens would really like. And what I'm really looking at with this pick is focusing on a guy who's that third defensive tackle. So if you want to get Madubuike out there with someone with more pass rush juice and take Jones off, this is who you'd put out. So very much like that Milton Williams role we saw with the Eagles. You started Jalen Carter with Jordan Davis, but then Milton Williams came on to rush with Carter in obvious pass rushing situations. In this scenario, Travis Jones is in that Jordan Davis role. You have obviously Madubuike in the Jalen Carter role, but we need that Milton Williams type guy. They didn't have it last year. If you're looking statistically at what he did, so good sack production from the inside, 5th. He's tied for 7th among draftable players. There was only, I think, 2 guys that had 6 that were tied for 1st, and then a cluster at 5 sacks, and then you get into 7 QB hits, but 43 hurries. So 55 overall pressures. He led the nation in interior defensive lineman pressures. He also led the team in other pass rush wins. He had 2 batted passes, 17 run stops. And you can see here, there's that versatility. So 353 snaps in the B gap, but also 28 in the A and 188 in the C, 21 wide. So a guy that really did move all around. So let's dive into the All-22 clips and we can kind of see for ourselves. Derek Harmon, I just had a lot of clips on him. There's a lot more film out there. There's going to be more clips. Some of the guys we look at later, there's only a few, just more on Harmon because there's more film out there. So we're going to start in here inside. Get that snap out. You see that swim move over top of the center. So he's aligned here as the 1 tech across from number 74. And so Oregon like to go to this double defensive tackles stack where they kind of have a 4 tech across from the left tackle and you get the 1 tech in there. And what that's really trying to do, especially with the outside player there in Jordan Birch, they want to force that line slide, right? So you want to match 75 up with the edge player 74 with the 4 tech, and you want to force that center to slide to Derek Harmon. It's just alignment opportunities. They even mug the B gap there with a blitz, and that's going to force them to go away from a full line slide, so they can't slide 68 over to double Derek Harmon. And you see that right off the snap right there. So that's how it plays out. They get that half line slide, center slides to Harmon. and Harmon's just going to use that up and over. And that's something that he has in his repertoire, is just so many different pass rush moves. But right there, you see that explosiveness, that first step, and obviously with a beautiful swim, he gets the strip sack on that. Beautiful, beautiful rep. You're going to see it again here. Get this rep out. Just on the inside, you see him power through. So this is going to be a bit of a different pass rush move. And that's what I like about Derek Harmon. So he's going to be on the right side of the offensive line in the B gap between 66 and 74. So he's going to actually come off the ball a little bit late here. And what he does is right there, he gets those hands nice and low. You can see 66 hands are up on the shoulder pads. And what he does is he drives that that outside hand, that left hand, up through the armpit right there. And you see how he finishes with his hand on the elbow. He pushes up through that, and then he rips under with that other hand and just creates that lane, and he gets to the quarterback. So that, we see that swim move, very much a finesse style move, and then you see a power rush where he can kind of do it all. And that's the type of rusher he is. Here you're going to see him as a one tech across from the center. And this is what I mean by the versatility. You see right there, rip right up, get that batted pass, that explosiveness. I really like how you could just kind of line him up. With the way the Ravens will position some of their defensive tackles, I think this plays really well into their hand, because they want to move guys into all different spots, but they can create those one-on-one situations with a guy that can play over center like this. And you're going to see it again here. He's going to be outside here against the right side of your screen against the left guard and the left tackle in the B gap. See right there, there's that power. Push him out of the way. So he's got that good upper body strength, good explosiveness. Another rep here on the right side. You can see him play nice and patient, get after the quarterback. Another one, I think this is the last one against Boise. Yeah, another one against the center. So this is what I mean by that versatility. So not a ton of A-gap snaps as a zero tech, but here they're going to use that alignment again. So they're going to come out. They got the 5-man line. They go with 2 3 techs. So it's going to force those guards to step out. And they got 2 edge players. So it's going to force the tackles to kick out. There's not really a slide protection you can use. It's just a center against Derek Harmon. And he's just going to bully him. Right there, up. There's that rip under. Seeing lots of different approaches in these pass rush snaps. We've seen, we've seen a swim move. We've seen a bull rush. We've seen kind of the rip swim, bunch of different things that he puts together, and that's what I really like to see. Oh, I think this is going to replay that snap. Is this a whole clip though? Yeah, just a sec. Yeah, bad editing. I was wondering why this video was so much longer. Okay, let that go through. Just played the same set of clips over again. Okay, we'll get into this next one. Left side of your screen here in the A gap. Or sorry, no, he's on the right side. Right side. I'm all thrown off by that. Now my notes are screwed up. Okay, there we go. Right side of your screen. There's that swim move again. QB hit. So again, different pass rush moves, but very effective, very quick. So you're going to see that up and over with his left arm. Right there, up and over. And just that ability to work upfield so quick, really hard for those guards to kind of use that quick post step to align with them. So he's doing this so significantly well. Little interior move there, work around. That was one thing I liked. Tried to throw some stunts in here because he used these stunts really well. Again, fits into what the Ravens are going to ask him to do. So right side of your screen, in between the right guard and the right tackle, he's going to cut across. See that loop's going to come from the zero tech, but Harmon, with his ability to move so fluidly, gets that sack off of the stunt. So he's supposed to just be kind of the cut man, but because he can plant his ankle, you can see right here, as he turns this corner, that lower body fluidity as he's able to turn the corner and get after him. So versatility all over the place with Derek Harmon. Snap out. He's on the left side there. There's another one, another sack off of a stunt. So again, just his explosiveness and his speed means that even if he's going to work, he's going to be the knife man again. So he's going to cut across to the left tackle, or the right tackle, sorry. So he's going to set the pick there. The left side edge players looping around, going into that A gap. And Harmon's able to turn the corner because his body is so fluid in his ankle, in his hips, in his knees. He's able to just drop hip, turn that corner. Very, very impressive for an interior defensive lineman, especially a guy that's 6'4", doesn't have great pad level, obviously just naturally tall, especially going against guards that can be a little bit shorter, especially at the college level, but it doesn't matter. He's just able to consistently work good angles. Another one here. You see him come around as the looper, misses the sack, so we don't love to see that. Odafe Owe nightmares, but the quickness out of that. And here you're going to see interior player again, misses a sack again. Something that kind of popped to me, a couple of those missed tackles. So that's Derek Harmon in a nutshell. A guy at 27 that I think, could make a ton of sense just because he really does fit what the Baltimore Ravens are looking for. Bigger body complements the skill sets they have. But again, as that third defensive tackle, and even with that ability to kind of move up and down the line, spelling Travis Jones, you can still use him as a one tech if you need to, or you can, line him up out wide like we've seen them do with some guys. We've seen Michael Pierce line as an edge rusher. So we know how creative the Baltimore Ravens like to get. Jumping to our next guy here, we're looking at Walter Nolen of Ole Miss. The transfer didn't do any drills, so did not get a RAS score. But obviously the big thing to look at here, he's an undersized guy. He did run the shuttle, didn't do very well, but he plays very athletic. You look at his production, 6 sacks on the year. So, okay, there's 4 guys that had 6 sacks. I said 2 on the Derek Harmon side. So he was tied for 4th in sacks, but tied for 12th with 4 QB hits and then 25 hurries. So another guy with good 35 pressures this year, really solid, 15 other pass rush wins. And this is a guy that does have those snaps elsewhere. What I saw most of his success was coming from the B gap, but he's such a relentless player. He has a relentless motor that, you line him up at the A gap or outside and he still finds ways to be productive. So we're looking at number 2 here. He's actually in the A gap on this first snap against the center, shaded to the left. So he's a one tech. And you're going to see that right there. You see him just a wrecking ball working up the field. And this is what a lot of his snaps look like. He is just a relentless motor. So he's going to start, see that nice fluidity, runs right through the running back, tosses him to the ground, and then works that rip. So he uses that left arm of his, that left arm shoulder underneath the armpit of the center, and he just works that under, is able to get low. You can see that nice sink in his hips. So once he sinks there, and just a relentless motor, keeps driving all the way through, turns the corner. Another guy that's very fluid, has good fluidity throughout his entire body. You see him here on the right side of the line against the left guard. And there's that, his ability to just kind of move around pre-snap right there. Very athletic and just makes a mockery of Jared. Is that Jared Wilson? Makes a mockery of the center just with a little shimmy move there. And this is just for a defensive tackle to be able to move like this. Wow. Very impressive stuff. So he has that type of Matabike athleticism where, he can move around. He's very fluid. He almost moves like a heavy edge player that moves inside. You've seen it from guys like Owe that move inside. They're kind of standing up. They're trying to get their hips moving, take away those targets from the interior defensive linemen, get them moving into space a little bit more. But doing that as a defensive tackle and doing it regularly, pairing him with Matabike could be a nightmare for interior players just with that athleticism. See him jump the gaps there, does this quite a bit. So he's going to line here against the center as a zero tech right over top. He jumps out to the B gap, gives him a different look, gets that right guard one-on-one, and then there's that rip move that he loves. So you can see right there, he's going to jump outside. He's going to see that. He's get huge pad level from that right guard, and he just takes advantage of it, rips under, isn't able to secure the sack. Quarterback steps up, but great pressure to force that throwaway. See it right there, in as a zero tech. This is against play action, but look at that relentless motor. Pulled this in just because this is so consistent across his tape. When he's getting blocked, he keeps those legs driving until the whistle, and that's something that I think helps him in the long run because he gets a lot of those secondary pass rushes that some guys just would give up on. See it right there. Look at him fighting against Miles Frazier. Just fighting. Not necessarily a pass rush win here, but what I'm showing is just that relentless motor that helps him on so many reps. He's just fighting, keeping that pocket caving. We've seen guys be so productive at improvised, plays against the Ravens, but you get a guy that's going to continue to fight through that. It makes a big difference. Right here, again, he's going to fight through that interior, and there he gets the QB hit. So this is what I mean. It pays off for him. So he's going to get squeezed by the center and the right guard right there. You see him get squeezed on the double team. He just continues to drive, pushes both guys back, gets that QB hit. And, not a very good throw from the quarterback, obviously, because, he's getting hit as he's getting thrown or getting hit while he's throwing. There's that relentless motor again, gets the QB hit. So another good play here. I'll just show this one more time before we wrap. He's a left side edge player here. Again, very Madubuike-like. He's down in the four-point stance. He's going to go against Will Campbell, and then he's going to end up spinning off of him, right? So late pass rush. So not necessarily a clean win right off the bat, but his relentlessness pays off in the long run. So there's another guy that, again, I think would be in play at 27 for the Baltimore Ravens. Could be a trade back option. I've seen a lot of things about him slipping due to his size, but a guy that's very much in that Madubuike mold. The guy that's a little bit smaller, but has as much athleticism as you could ask, very fluid, a guy that can kind of move all around, do a lot of the things the Ravens want to do with their players. So I think a guy that would be a great fit. Jump into another guy here. We're going to look at Omar Norman-Lot. Really interesting guy here because when I was watching James Pierce Jr., I had to keep pausing and keep checking out 55 because I was like, who is this kid? He keeps popping. It was Omar Norman-Lot, a guy that you can kind of see it here. Undersized, 6'1", 291. So that's a reason he may slip into the third round, fourth round. Didn't have some of the best combine numbers, only a 5.94, but a lot of that's due to his size and his 40, but you can see his explosiveness there. That's in the great range, almost elite if his vertical was a little bit higher. And I think that's really what stands out on his tape. You look at his production, didn't play a ton of snaps, was very much a situational pass rusher. You can see right there, he only played just over 200 snaps. So a guy that I think has already played in that rotation would be very used to the role that he'd be putting in. Also probably isn't going to take a top 2-round investment. The Ravens can focus on other positions, edge, offensive line, safety, corner, kind of play that BPA model. A guy that had 5 sacks despite limited snaps. A guy that had 9 QB hits. That's as much QB hit and sack production as Harmon and Nolen on half the snaps played. Only 13 hurries, but didn't have a lot of those snaps, right? So he had a lot of high impact snaps. Very much what you want from a rotational guy. Very much like I wouldn't compare him as a player to Milton Williams, but very much had that type of role where he's coming on the field less regularly, but a high pass rush win rate because his plays are meaningful and impactful. So we kind of jump into some of the snaps here. So he's number 55, and you're going to see Tennessee does a really good job creating one-on-one matchups against this Florida O-line. He's lined up across from the tight end as a sort of a 5-tech here. Again, another guy that can play that 5 down to that 3, isn't big enough to play inside too far. But again, another guy that, what I'd picture with him is Madubuike and Omar Norman-Lot lining up as 4-techs and forcing those guards to kick out to them, get them both one-on-one looks in space, force that center to slide to one of them and create a one-on-one for the other guy, and then take advantage of it like you're going to see here. So you see right here, the left tackle is going to kick out, running back picks up, and you look at this explosiveness. This is that he's going to pause and then just explode into the quarterback. That quickness is what his greatest strength is. When he eats a gap, he eats it fast. You're going to see him here as a 4-tech across from the left tackle. You're going to see he's going to get that one-on-one with that left guard, number 77. And right there, he drives right through him and then relentless finish on that quarterback. So there is a really solid look at exactly what I'm talking about. So they're not going to, well, they do actually align. So you see right there, they got 2 edge players. You got James Pierce out here, and then you got your 2 defensive tackles across from the offensive tackles. So you're going to see right here, 70 and 77, they have to kick out in space. 66 has to keep his eyes on that mugging linebacker, the guy that showed blitz, but doesn't slide to one of them. When he does slide, he goes to the other side, one-on-one for Omar Norman-Lot, and he just absolutely takes advantage of his guy. Quarterback tries to step up, but he cleans it up. So very, very solid pass rush snaps like this all over his tape. See that explosiveness on the inside. This was one thing that, you can see right here. So they're gonna run a little play action concept, and they basically create 2 double teams on the inside. And this is the only part of his game. I wanted to show this because it's the only part of his game I didn't love. When he gets doubled or ends up in one of those tight alignments where he's inside with the center, I think he really struggles in that environment. And that's the only real concern I have about him, is just kind of that undersized nature really shows. He doesn't convert speed to power consistently. I think that's kind of the next step in his game, especially once he gets in an NFL weight room. I think that's part of the reason he'll drop, especially with being a little bit undersized. But the quickness, that ability one-on-one, it's hard to find that, especially in this draft class, especially a guy that's not going to go in the top, 30 picks. So I, as much as I don't love that part, I still really like the player. Still a lot of really good things here. Here you're going to get him outside. Again, you see the alignment. They're lining him across from the left tackle. Yeah, across from, they have a 6. Oh, they have an unbalanced line. I was like, why is there another big man out there? So they have an unbalanced line. So it's against the left tackle. And you see right there, and he's going to use nice little explosiveness, that secondary pass rush move, to use that little cross chop. So really solid there. You see right in there the explosiveness. So this snap really shows that first step. So he's going to be the most interior player across from 58. Watch his first step. See right there, the center is going to slide to him, but the center ends up almost sideways because of how quick he's upfield. Right there, boom. See that? And then he just continues to work, gets that QB hit. So very impressive doing that. They stack 2 defensive tackles again. He's inside in that A gap. There's that quickness again. Throw those hands off and then explode through. He actually ends up getting tripped there, but really solid. So that first step quickness, something that I think Ravens fans really want to see out of one of these interior defensive linemen. That's definitely something he can bring to the table. Next guy we're going to take a look at is Tonka Hemingway out of South Carolina, guy that may be a later round pick. In mock drafts, you kind of see him all over the place, but usually after the 4th round. So this is someone that I think in a double dip scenario would be perfect. So if you got Derek Harmon early, turn around to get Tonka Hemingway. And, you can see here, undersized guy, very much similar to Omar Norman-Lot in that he's really only going to be a pass rusher, but elite numbers and his explosiveness. He was also pretty productive in South Carolina. He had 5 sacks, 5 QB hits, 19 hurries, 10.9% pass rush win rate. So a guy that got on for a lot of pass rush downs, but was very successful. And you're going to see 91 here. He's across from the left guard on the right side of your screen. A little bit of what he can do. There's that quickness, that quick first step. That's what he's all about. He's like he moves like a power forward. Just absolutely. He's going to set up wide right there, move inside, push the hands away, get inside, get after that ball. He's going to start across from the right guard here, right side of your screen. See him work across there. There's that little swim move, gets to the quarterback again. You see that quickness, that lateral ability. But once he moves laterally, he's got enough fluidity in his lower body to explode up. Definitely not a hard mover. He moves really well. See right there, he's going to move inside. Good athleticism to get out and chase. Really like this rep from him, actually. I think it shows exactly what I'm talking about because he's going to end up with a double team off the snap, and he ends up with a nice, solid pass rush move. See right there, he's going to use that hand in, swim, ends up with the center on him. He's just going to put his hands right into him. You see those hands re-engage. Plays with very active hands. So he just went boom, boom, ends up with the center in his face, push back out, create that space, create that leverage so he can branch off of him as the quarterback starts to roll. Plays that kind of spiral at that point. So good ability to move laterally, especially after just, being so active with your hands, eyes on the quarterback, knowing where he is. Very impressive, especially from a guy that's going to be a later round guy. See right there on the stunt, active hands moving through, getting after the quarterback, ripping the ball out, finishing what he started. Really impressive rep there from Hemingway. And then one last one here. See that explosiveness up the middle for that sack. Absolutely love this rep. This is exactly the type of stuff I love. So he's going to start here across from the left guard as a 2-tech. As soon as that comes, he just eats that A gap, explosive. Nobody ends up getting his hands on him. and he ends up finishing that play. So definitely a guy that should be in play for the Ravens. I think he's vastly underrated in this draft class. I can't believe enough people aren't talking about him. I get he's undersized, but you just don't have that type of explosiveness. So someone that I hope is all over the Baltimore Ravens preview, or all over the radar, sorry. Hopefully the Ravens are all over this preview. Hopefully Ravens fans are. If you guys are enjoying this, hit that like button for me. Hit subscribe if you're new here. Get into our last guy of the 5 guys, Aeneas Peebles out of Virginia Tech. No one's talking about this guy. I don't really know why. Really solid numbers. Again, another undersized guy. Story of this, when we're looking at interior pass rushers, definitely going to be a bit of a theme with these guys that are super small, super explosive, but also very productive. And that's really what I think the Baltimore Ravens need to be looking for. Outstanding number, 17.8% pass rush win rate, 31 hurries, only 3 QB hits, 3 sacks, but really solid pressure numbers. Even if you go back to last year, 6 sacks, 3 QB hits, 24 hurries. So 2 years back-to-back with good pressure production. That 17.8% pass rush win rate, that's what's got me excited. Didn't play a ton of snaps, like in terms of being, especially at a school that's not as good. So you start here, number 16. He's going to start as a 4-eye across from the right tackle. See that kind of explosiveness. Love seeing this from a guy that's undersized. Rather than seeing that kind of finesse move, watch how low he comes out against Miami's right guard. Big boy. He comes out nice and low, pad up, drive him back, and get after that quarterback. So like seeing that power, speed to power conversion, especially out of some of these guys that are on the smaller size, shows me physicality and shows me that he doesn't just need to be, a guy that's going to rip swim, long arm stab into rip, long arm stab into up and over, that sort of thing. He can kind of mix up his set. So really like seeing that out of him. Another rep against 73. You can see how active those hands are. He doesn't end up getting any sort of pressure here, but you can see he's going to start across as a 4-tech again. So he's going to go up and over against the right guard. As soon as he sets there, you see he wants to get back outside. So he's going to go back up and over. See right there, active hands, good athleticism, good lateral movement ability, consistently fighting, consistently doing that. He's going to go against 73 again here. And again, he's consistently moving his hands, trying to create that leverage point. Not clean wins here, but we want to see those active hands, that good explosiveness. And then here you're going to see one of the nicest reps. So he's been playing against 73 almost this whole game. It just goes on their alignment. So he's going to line up inside. So now he's as a 2-eye across from the guard in that inside shoulder. Right guard steps out, wants to get hands on early. He's a big boy. Peebles is very athletic, wants to get those hands on early. Peebles knows that's coming. He's going to hit that outside spin move right here, right off the snap. Boom. And get that quarterback sack on Cam Ward. So I only had 1 game of film on him, but I was very impressed with what I saw. So those are 5 guys that I think can vastly help the Baltimore Ravens situation in the interior defensive line, specifically for generating that interior pass rush. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think of these 5 guys. Hit that like button. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please let me know if you enjoy this style. I'll be doing these all week long. Tomorrow we'll look at edge rushers. We also got to look at some offensive linemen, probably some safeties, all that good stuff. Hit that like button for me. Hit subscribe if you're new here. And as always, be good to yourselves, be good to each other. Peace out.